Welcome to today's Explainer. We are breaking down an absolutely gripping story extracted right from our source material. Honestly, it's a total masterclass in resilience, a deep dive into the fight for justice, and a really fascinating look at the hidden wealth of agriculture. We're going to trace the unbelievable journey of a man named David and map out exactly how someone goes from having absolutely nothing, literally scraping by, to building a massive agricultural empire, all while dodging some pretty dangerous adversaries. There is just so much to unpack here about corruption, pure grit, and the true value of land. It offers a super powerful lesson for anyone facing seemingly insurmountable systemic hurdles.
Okay, let's dive into this. You were born poor, you will die poor. Wow, right? Those are the chilling words of our antagonist, the highly corrupt Chief Balogun. And you know, this isn't just some casual throwaway insult. It's a terrifying threat designed to completely break our protagonist, David. Chief Balogun really represents the systemic hurdles and the sheer intimidation that David is up against from day one. It perfectly establishes the massive stakes of this narrative, because David isn't just fighting to grow crops here, he's fighting for his very right to exist and thrive against people who desperately want to keep him at the bottom.
Now, I want you to think about this, because the sheer scale of the transformation we're looking at today is just staggering. David's starting point was a broken bicycle and a super modest piece of farmland. That was his entire world. But by the end of this story, he is the owner of the ADME Agricultural Group and a literal billionaire. So how do you cross that massive chasm? How does a busted-up bicycle turn into a full-blown corporate empire? Well, that is exactly what we're going to unpack.
To understand the empire, we first have to understand the dirt. Section 1. The Poor Farmer Struggle.
Back in the beginning, David was actually kind of the laughingstock of his community. Because of his relentless work ethic and his really big dreams, the locals would sarcastically call him the billionaire farmer. They'd always ask him when he was going to buy a fancy car, just completely mocking his state of poverty. But David, he never let the sarcasm stop him from showing up to his fields every single day. Just to give you an idea of how humble his beginnings really were, 200 naira. According to our source material, this was the incredibly meager price David was asking for his fresh, morning-harvested carrots. He was out there, boots on the ground, engaging in the most honest, foundational form of commerce, just selling vegetables to his neighbors for small change. That was his daily grind, and he was completely unaware of the absolute chaos that was about to descend on his life.
And that chaos brings us to Section 2, a corrupt chief's threat.
Imagine waking up, heading to work, and finding your farm completely devastated. Months of hard agricultural work, all his fresh crops, were just deliberately destroyed overnight by unseen forces. This wasn't a bad storm, it was a highly targeted attack, which leads right back to the man pulling the strings. Chief Balogun basically corners David with an ultimatum. Sell your land to me, take the little money, and stop embarrassing yourself. He's trying to force a desperate panic sale. He even goes as far as threatening David, casually reminding him that people disappear for a lot less than refusing a powerful chief. But David, even looking at the total destruction of his livelihood, looks the chief right in the eye and flat out refuses.
So the crucial point here is why. Why on earth is a powerful chief so obsessed with a poor farmer's carrot patch? Well, the answer is mineral deposits. This is the big reveal, guys. Chief Balogun doesn't give a single thought to agriculture. He knows that hidden directly beneath David's farmland is highly valuable mineral wealth. He orchestrated the destruction of those crops to financially ruin David, hoping to buy up that priceless land for pennies before David ever realized what was right under his own 2 feet.
But you see, this isn't just about a modern-day land grab. Let's look at Section 3, the 25-year-old murder.
This current conflict actually connects David's nightmare directly to his family's hidden history. Let's piece this timeline together because it spans 25 years. 2.5 decades ago, David's father, Samuel, actually saved the life of a Mr. Johnson after a terrible accident. By all accounts, Samuel was a genuinely good, honorable man. But Samuel had also discovered the mineral wealth on his land, and he absolutely refused to sell it to Chief Balogun. Because of that refusal, Balogun murdered him. Fast forward to 3 years earlier, and Balogun uses the exact same intimidation tactics by destroying David's farm. All of this tension has been accelerating toward a massive present-day confrontation.
And this whole tangled web culminates in a seriously emotional reveal. For his entire life, David's mama had told him that his father died in an accident. She kept the truth quiet just to protect her son from this incredibly dangerous chief. But eventually, the truth always comes out. This is the moment Mama finally breaks down and confesses, "Your father did not die in an accident. He was murdered." Suddenly, David realizes he isn't just fighting for his farm anymore, he is fighting to avenge his father's stolen life.
which launches us right into Section 4, the hidden red box.
Now armed with the truth but possessing absolutely zero proof, the pacing of our story kicks into high gear. David, alongside his fiercely loyal ally Sophia, who, by the way, happens to be the daughter of the Mr. Johnson that David's father saved all those years ago, they begin a desperate race against time. They've been searching for hours with no luck. I mean, the tension is just palpable. Samuel hid the documents right before he died, but where? David and Sophia are practically tearing apart the old house, frantic and terrified, because they know if Chief Belugan's men find them before they find that evidence, it's game over. The legacy of the land is going to be lost forever.
And then, finally, a breakthrough. David's eyes catch something just a little out of place. A single, loose floorboard in the house. It's such a tiny detail, but isn't it always the little anomalies that crack these things wide open? He pries the wood up, his heart practically pounding out of his chest.
And this brilliantly illustrates the turning point. He pulls out a red metal box. Actually, scratch that. It wasn't just a container. It was a literal time capsule of justice. It's the exact item his father managed to conceal away from Chief Belugan a quarter of a century ago. The answers to his past and the keys to his future are locked right inside.
Let's actually break down what was hiding inside that box, because it's incredible. First up, the documents. These provided undeniable, rock-solid legal proof of land ownership, legally securing David's rights to the property and, of course, the minerals beneath it. Second, old newspapers, which offered the critical historical context of the crime from 25 years ago. And finally, the absolute holy grail, an audio recorder. This was the definitive, hard evidence they needed to directly tie Chief Belugan to the murder and the cover-up. Together, these items form an absolutely airtight case.
With the evidence finally secured, we hit the climax in Section 5, exposing the land grabber.
Now, David doesn't go rogue here. He doesn't take the law into his own hands with violence. Instead, he takes that red box straight to the authorities, filing a formal complaint for the sake of his people and their future. And almost instantly, this triggers a massive breaking news farmland scandal. The police march straight into Chief Belugan's office with a court order. And despite the chief yelling that it's all a massive setup, the evidence is totally undeniable. The charges brought against him are massive: murder, fraud, conspiracy, and illegal land acquisition. The reign of terror and corruption is finally over. Justice, delayed by 25 long years, is finally served.
So with the villain locked up and the land rightfully secured, we flash forward to our final stage, Section 6, the Billionaire Empire.
This is the ultimate payoff, you guys. We get to see exactly what David built once that dark cloud was lifted. He completely transformed that tiny little farm into the massive Adme agricultural group. This is no longer a one-man show with a broken bicycle, not by a long shot. It's a huge, incredibly smooth operation. Trucks are loading up, and a dedicated, well-paid team of workers tend to the crops with amazing care and precision. It's literally described as the beating heart of Nigerian agriculture. David didn't just get rich for the sake of getting rich. He created jobs, he built a thriving community, and he proved every single person who laughed at the billionaire farmer completely wrong.
So, let's review how he actually pulled this off. Step 1. He discovered the harsh truth about his father and the land. Step 2. He successfully fought and dismantled systemic corruption. And Step 3, which is really the emotional core of the whole story, he proposes to Sophia Johnson. Sophia was the one woman who believed in him when his farm was destroyed and he literally had nothing. Now, surrounded by their future family and the empire they secured together, she says yes.
And that brings us to this really powerful quote from the man himself: "Never be ashamed of honest work." I feel like this is the thematic heartbeat of everything we've explored today. The real wealth didn't just come from the minerals buried in the ground. It came from David's relentless dedication to the honest, back-breaking work of farming, even when the whole world mocked him for it. That work gave him purpose, it gave him a family, and ultimately, it gave him his empire.
Which leaves us with one final, kind of crazy thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. What would you do if you found a hidden box of secrets under your floorboards? Would you actually have the courage to dig up the past and fight a totally corrupt system? Or would you just bury it back down? It's a fascinating question about bravery, risk, and justice. Thank you so much for joining me to break down this incredible story, and I highly encourage you to keep questioning the world around you. See you next time.